With the final prelim of the night, we've got Miesha Tate, Cupcake Miesha Tate, against Julia Avila. And if you're watching the video we've got right here, I have her nickname, Raging Panda. Should be a fun fight, even if I don't go Raging Panda, not to spoil my pick too early. But should be a fun one. Avila's been out of the octagon for a while, and Miesha Tate has had some incredible UFC story. 6-6 in the UFC is not sexy, and it's also really not telling of how good she's been across her career or the competition that she's faced. When she fought for the championship fight against Amanda Nunes back in 2016, that was UFC 200. She headlined a card where you had prime Brock Lesnar, Daniel Cormier, Jose Aldo, Anderson Silva, Frankie Edgar, Cain Velasquez, Juliana Pena, TJ Dillashaw. There were more too. Like, those are just the top like title championship type people. But she headlined that card. I mean, she's a name. She took 5 years off from 2016 to 2021. Was given a layup in her fight in a return against Marion Renault, where she was able to finish her in the third round. But then she got beat by Ketlin Vieira and Lauren Murphy in her last two fights. And she was in a UFC Fight Pass last December, and she got armbarred. So it hasn't been sexy in her return, despite that Marion Renault win. But she did look better against Lauren Murphy. I know that sounds a little bit weird. She was down to 125 for that fight. Now she's back up to her usual 135. So she's going to feel a lot healthier. She's going to feel a lot more full. And she's really taken the time over these past few years to get right. She had a fight against Mayra Buena Silva, canceled earlier this year. She was injured before that. And so it'll be interesting to see where she's able to find success in this. One of the issues that I think could be interesting in this fight that really isn't a stylistic thing, but her nose has been busted up in the past. She's had to get it fixed. But she gets bloodied up, and it can be a bad visual. And in women's fights, that can be important. There's not a lot of wobbling or TKOs, knockouts in women's fights, but that visual, just blood smeared across your face, a busted up nose, is not a good one. And then Navia is a person who can really be able to do that to you. Despite just being 3-1 in the UFC, she's 35 years old. She doesn't look it. She looks young, but she just had a child. She's had gym issues in the past. And so she's got some different issues. And she's had 10 fight cancellations in the same time that she's had 4 fights. She had 4 scheduled fights against Carol Rosa and never fought her. I guess we'll never see the historic Julia Avila fight versus Carol Rosa, but she also had 3 scheduled against Nika Montano. But it'll be interesting because Avila is more of a brawler. Tate's more technical. Can she damage Tate? Is really going to be the question that I have, and that needs to be answered. So, Andy, do you think that Avila can damage Tate more than Tate's able to get Avila and land?
I don't. I think Avila swings heavy, and the 2-year break for me is a bit concerning, and I'll get into that. But she was actually kicked out of her gym during her time off, and I think that weighs a bit on you, and that is a bit concerning to me. She also had a child while she was off. And I'm not trying to discriminate against anything with that. It's more so the fact that that is such an enduring experience that somebody has to go through with their body. And you go back into fighting in a cage. And I think that gives Tate a bit of an edge. I think this is a bit of a gift for Tate, even though Tate's been on such a skid. I mean, like 1-4 in the last 5, that's not great. But when you look at the quality of the people that she's lost to, she had her 2 losses in 2016, then her 2 losses in 2021 and 2022. That opponent's skill gap is massive compared to anything that Avila has seen. I think that skill gap at the top of the women's bantamweight division, you talk about Miesha Tate headlining that card. She was at the tip top of women's MMA. And there is such a huge gap where it's like gals have to take the leap up to get into that upper echelon. And there really is no in between. And that's how they kind of struggle to get a lot of female fighters, in my opinion, where it's difficult for the UFC to find really skilled mixed martial artists in some of these female divisions that stick at the top. And Miesha Tate's been one that's been able to stick, even though she's had a rough go of it. The people that she's lost to have been top of the top, and Avila's never really seen that before. So when you pair that with a lot of the stuff that you hear out of the 2 years off for Avila, I can't believe I'm saying this, man, but like Miesha Tate's just good value here at plus 135. I get that it's just a slight underdog, but I really do feel like with the stuff with the camp, with Avila having a shot, congratulations to her. But like, there's so much stuff going into this on her side and a lot of baggage compared to Tate, where the only baggage is really just the skilled people that she's lost to. I'm going to go Tate here, and I'm going to go Tate for half a unit at plus 135. What do you have?
Yes, I'm going Tate as well. I've got a little bit more on it. I won't do a full unit, but I've done 3/4 of a unit, which our viewers might roll their eyes at. I'm not willing to risk too much on Tate. I feel pretty good about it. Tate's got enough red flags, and that she doesn't move her head much, but I don't really see Avila to be the one to knock her out. And she doesn't really have much knockout power, but she is very, very volume heavy. She's got good jabs. She's got good calf kicks. And what I really liked is that Lauren Murphy fight. That gave me a lot of confidence in this one, in that she took a lot of damage. She was bloodied up in that fight, but she was never deterred. She stood on the gas the entire time and said, "Hey, let's fucking go. I'm 36 years old. This is my second stint. I may be 6-5 on a loss streak in the UFC, but damn it, I'm here to fucking fight. I'm here to win a championship." And so that type of will, and now against a lesser opponent, this feels like a fight where it's remember the name. I'm Miesha Tate, and I'm coming for one more run towards the title, because there's not that many people that I'm like overly like wowed with in the women's division right now. So she could notch a win here, be able to get a decent opponent, maybe win that one, and all of a sudden you're right back in the title picture. So,
and to your point, in the bantamweight division for women, it's there's really not that many people she has to go through. Like, and she moved down to go fight Lauren Murphy at 125, moved back up to 135. And I think that she's going to be able. She has a decent chance. So this will get her there.
She was scheduled to face Mayra Buena Silva back in June until she got injured. Mayra Buena Silva is fighting for the championship now. There's no Amanda Nunes left in this division, and in my opinion, we should scrap the division because it's so low quality now. But that's a conversation for another day. We're both going with Cupcake Miesha Tate to get it done at 37 years old, and pretty confidently so. Back in her betting wise, I've got 3/4 of a unit. Andy's got a half unit at plus 135. Next up, we've got a fellow UFC legend in Clay Guida, who is 18-17 in the UFC, coming up against Joaquim Silva, who is 5-4 in the UFC. Not sexy records, two sexy opponents. We'll see you there.
Hey, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to Pilsners and Prelims, a UFC betting podcast by Happy Hour Sports. Just want to ask if you could like and subscribe to the video if you like the content that we're putting out, and be sure to stay tuned to what we have coming up in the future. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you on the other side.